but we all know that means Heroic are clearly going to win both of the first 2 maps. Called it already.
I mean, it's how it always goes, isn't it? You know, we look at these things and we think, wow, that's going to be one-sided, you know, and then there's always something that tends to come out. I'm just having a quick look back because we saw BDS lose Clubhouse to W7M at the Major, of course. So they have shown that they are fallible here. They are beatable. Is that going to be by Heroic? I'm not too sure. Out of the 3 stages that we've had in EUL so far, Heroic, again, promising results for them. They have won 2 of the 3. That said, it was stage 1 and stage 2 that they won, and I've got to say, Des, I feel like BDS's big resurgence has been stage 3 with the crescendo of that major win. They've been better towards the back end of the year, EFAC really settling in, and I think this is going to be a tough ask for Heroic to kick off on Clubhouse. Of all maps, it's going to be a rough one.
Interesting to see that Maverick ban coming out as well. As we know, lost his grenades, poor Maverick. But in a spot where his army has come out as a ban as well. Not too surprised to see that one. We've seen some really creative defenses coming out on this map with that operator and the Solace ban coming out by BDS as well. Now, speaking about the Azami for a second, we see some really good holes coming through in places like Catwalk inside a garage. We've seen it used on site. We've seen it used inside a gym and bedroom to make that more defendable from the windows as well. So you will see these sites a little bit more exposed, a little bit more open here, a little harder for the defenders to hold on. But hopefully both sides have got something up their sleeves here to counteract that ban.
Well, we're going to get right into it. We're not going to muck about.
Yes,
we're going to get things going. Round number 1 is going to be down in the basement. Now, BDS are starting off on the defence, and this is always an interesting site I find for BDS because 90% of teams, if not more, will play around the map. BDS quite often will sort of do that in a very shallow sense of the word. We will quite often see them maybe a minute into the round, all 5 of them back on site. You know, they don't generally tend to commit too heavily to this top floor roam. Sometimes we'll see a Lems on the Vigil. He's brought the mirror this time along, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. But quite often, you know, if anybody's going to be out on the roam, it'll be him, you know, with maybe one other supporting. But they get themselves back to site quite quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. We've got a few people sort of switching around roles. The Lems I've already mentioned on mirror, and that's why I wanted to come back to that. You know, it takes him out of that sort of zone that we usually see. But we've got Breeder, we've got the Lems, we've got Shaiko. It looks like we've got Leakerfact down on main stairs. We are pretty much, as I thought, on a turtle defence here. Almost completely from BDS. But the interesting point I wanted to come back to very quickly was Tristan mentioned it earlier. The Solace ban allowing in the mirror.
Absolutely. I think the interesting one for this for me overall is for BDS. Even introducing Leakerfact earlier this year, we haven't really seen them massively swerve away from playing that much more turtle style on Clubhouse. The thing is, you can't knock it. We can look at that and say, oh, for most teams, you sit on site, you're going to get slapped at the 60-second mark by a perfect execute, and you can do nothing about it if you always sit back. But BDS are known for being absolute demons on this map, despite playing that play style. So knock it all we like, it does work. It does feel strange that you give up so much of the map, but if it works, who are we to judge all that? Well, with the casters, well, it's not really our job to judge too harsh, Tim. Either way, Heroic got control of the top floor here inside 60 seconds. They were very quick to get a cut across the ground floor, while Ben just slowly worked his way through the upstairs, past some of those mute jammers, and now they're starting to look onto the downstairs. A minute and 45 seconds left, and the hammer starts getting swung. Great timing, but Leakerfact with a dirty angle from the main stairs finds one, as a second man also challenged from below. So BDS showing their thorns there.
And this is the problem with playing into the BDS turtle defense. As you said, you know, many other teams we would say, you know, maybe this doesn't work. It's going to give too much time to the attackers. But BDS just shows such a mastery of those vertical angles and getting those kills from sight. They don't need necessarily to go out on the roam in order to do it. Now then, Heroic are absolutely pummeling sight at the minute. There's Doom. He's just absolutely working over that floor with the skeleton key at the minute. Just looking for any vertical angles. Mello, he's going to start playing the game. The dance will go on to see if this hatch gets opened. He's going to use just minimal pellets. He will get through it with the Hibana.
They've still got 2 exothermic Selmas left available as well on Grizzly, because with that, of course, you can get a hatch open if any have not been opened up. But it's a a bit of an unlucky bit of time, but also great time by BDS for Mello to get caught out there. He was up on the counter to avoid this C4 coming through, but still gets caught by it. So great timing as June drops in, finds Shaiko, but immediately traded out there by Renshiro. Grizzly back on the other side into a 3 versus 2 for BDS. Maybe a little bit closer than it should be. No longer a 3v1, and Grizzly's got it all to do. BDS to close it out, and BDS with a very comfortable round 1, Tim.
Very comfortable indeed. There was a little bit in the middle there where you thought, oh, have Heroic got something going here? But who was it? Once again, I cannot wax lyrical enough about him, and I've been doing it for the longest time, Renshiro. He steps up when his team needs him. He does the difficult jobs. It's not always pretty. It's not always glamorous. But if you need somebody in the right place at the right time to get a kill, it's going to be Renshiro. And he did it on the Legion there. Steps up, gets the kill, and it just completely, again, takes the wind out of Heroic's sails, and BDS, they cruise on through to a successful first round. Great kill from him, and a great round overall from BDS. Very, very competent defense down in basement, as we said, with basically no top floor presence whatsoever. They're going to move on. This time, there's going to be a lot of top floor presence because we're on a top floor site. It's going to be gym and bedroom. Now then, Des, you know what I'm going to mention. Shaiko spot. I think we might have another one. There's a couple of places in our game that are named after Shaiko, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty more that will come. A wonderful observer's gone straight to the spot. He's going to play in construction. We know that he's going to play there. He's going to be on the alibi. And for some reason, he is just impossible to move from this spot.
He's very, very mobile around and towards Cash and CC side when he needs to be as well. But just by playing this angle, he can contest so many angles. Through towards the drone spot, out construction window, up towards the logic drop, and also provide assistance out towards the east if needed to as well. But here's that classic peak that we're so used to seeing, going for the early challenge immediately out onto the roof. And to be fair, after they caught Heroic out at the start of last round with the sledge going down nice and early, I'm not surprised they're feeling a little bit cheeky that they might be able to find 1 or 2 in the early round here.
Jim just going to take his pre-fire onto stock door there. Doesn't want to be getting peeked out. Mello opening up construction now then. How is this going to impact on Shaiko's game plan? Because we know that he wants to stay in that spot. And it hasn't moved him whatsoever. He is not scared. He's going to stay in there with the store.
Yes, another angle to challenge.
They're going to come for me. They're going to come for me. And he knows which way that is likely to go. We're going to have the impact EMPs. Interesting point there. You see the electrical just being pinged out on the back of the wall, and that's because the radius of impact for those EMPs is actually pretty small, so you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure that you're landing it close to the device. If you just slam that down at the bottom of the wall, you ain't getting that electrical disabled. So just a nice little indication there of how the teams go about ensuring that they get that utility dealt with.
Well, Jim has worked his way out through kitchen here and has now got himself flashed out by a friendly. Not really what was intended, but here comes the push in. 3 of them also coming in through the breach. They're looking for what they can find. Fires out some shots, but can't quite find his man. Uno looking for the same, coming in towards the showers, but gets hosed down on the reverse as well. BDS winning that one out, and a 3 versus 2 once again for BDS. This time though with about an extra 45 seconds on the clock means this is salvageable for Heroic, with Grizzly finding 1 more. It was BDS who turned it into a 3v1 in the last round. Here he loses out, and it becomes a 2v2.
Grizzly is another one of those Renshiro style characters for me that is going to go in there and get important kills. He gets himself one down, and BDS are likely to be able to win this one out. Doom, he does manage to secure that plant though. He's now working against the odds in terms of man count, but he does have the clock on his side. Finds himself 1. Can he secure the 1v2? He hits the flick, but can't find the kill. He's going to head underneath. It's going to relieve Lems a little bit of a dilemma here. Does he go for the case? Can he keep himself safe? Or is he going to have to take the fight? He knows that the fight is coming. The shot's coming. Doom's going to wait his time here. Lems comes off. The challenge is just going back and forth. 19 seconds left to go, and Doom is playing this absolutely beautifully. Just keeping himself slippery here. Just won't be nailed down. He knows that he has to make the challenge. Finds his kill. And that's going to be round 2 to Heroic. Well played, Doom, in the 1v2.
Very well played, yeah. I think Lems will be kicking himself, though, in that 1 versus 1 on the main stairs. Doom was watching the left side of the door, expecting him to come from the corner, but Lems came from the right side. Just whiffed his shots onto what should have been a freebie onto Doom, and he'll be kicking himself that he didn't win that 1 versus 1. It enables June to win that 1 versus 2 and pull things back to 1 apiece. BDS are going to try that site once again. They're clearly happy with how they played it. And truthfully, Tim, I was as well. Sure, things moved a little bit quicker, but they were once again in that 3 versus 2 situation. They lost the 1 man down to the 2 versus 2. And for a second, when they got that kill onto Grizzly, making it a 2 versus 1, I thought they could close things out. But still, holding down F, June there on the diffuser, knows that he's got a few seconds left before they even try and push anywhere near him, and wins out 2 fantastic 1v1s.
Yeah, reality is that BDS probably should have won that round. I think the fact that they've come back here says that they're well aware of that themselves. Like you say, 2v2 with the time remaining, having to try and put the diffuser down. It's not many other rounds where the attackers are going to come away with the point on the scoreboard after that one. So BDS just going to double down here. Shaiko, very quiet. He was shut down extremely well, and this is the problem sometimes. You know, I'll pile the praise onto him for how well he plays these positions, but it is sometimes predictable. You know he's going to be there, and it very much is that mentality of, I don't care, you know I'm going to be here because I'm just going to do it better than you can possibly challenge. But that round, that wasn't the case, and they're going to need a little bit more from him. I think that could be the difference maker in getting this site over the line.
Sure, let's see how the changes come in this time round, because BDS will have had that read. Okay, they opened up the West Breach and they forced 3 or 4 players in while June came up main stairs. They know what a push looks like. They haven't changed up their lineup here at all, so they've still got the Kaid on side, for example. But here it comes, they're straight in towards Shaiko's spot here. June has just said hell for leather, let's go straight for it, boys. They pull down 3 and it's already a 4 versus 2. They've broken the back of BDS and June brings it to a 4 versus 1. What a round coming out from Heroic as Alems is left floundering, full flashed against Mello, loses it out, and that was a very different story to the previous round.
Well, that didn't go very well for the French side now, did it? As you said, just able to get in there, extremely aggressive, Heroic, and sometimes, you know, they're not going to get away with it this round. They're not going to try it again this round, but you've always got that option. Just get yourself in quickly, see if you can get yourself a couple of kills, and you just know what the comms in BDS were. You know, we've all been there before. He's inside. How have they got in so quickly? Where have they come from? And before you know it, it's a losing battle. So that's going to send BDS back down to the basement with their tail between their legs, I would say, after those last couple of rounds. Heroic going fantastically well, and able to shut down the gym site. BDS, interestingly, not wanting to go to bar and stage, not wanting to go to CCTV and cash now that Church and Arsenal has opened up again. The big question is going to come, if they win Church and Arsenal here, which site do they go to after that? Do they try gym and bedroom again, or do they take one of those third choice sites?
Just to touch on bar and stage for a second, it's a really interesting site that only a few teams have really tried to make work. Like, thinking back to, for example, Na'Vi, they're playing it quite a lot. We saw Doki when he was on, well, still is on G2, making use of it a couple of times as well. Heroic actually were one of the first teams that started pioneering picking that site and playing it. In fact, I remember quite specifically back when Sloth and Gorg were on the roster, Sloth would play Thunderbird and sit in the rotation between gym and bedroom upstairs, trying to contest it with the rest of the team and seeing where they could go from there. We've seen a few creative defenses, but it's not really picked all that much, as there hasn't really become an established go-to way of defending that site or adapting around it. Teams are still, dare I say, figuring it out after all this time, or just completely ignoring it altogether. Renshiro's in though, finds Uno, turns into a quick second for BDS here. Already this defense going much better than the last one.
Exactly that. The big question here, as I said, is whether BDS can find that next site and find somewhere successful other than the basement. Grizzly, he's going to find himself down as well. May well be collectible here. It may well find that Benja can get over there and pick him up. Just going to take the goo man out of his leg, and then there should be an opportunity, unlikely to be challenged at this point by BDS, but still, it leaves Grizzly down on 20 HP. That's your planter, so you're going to have to be careful because you don't want that case dropping in no man's land, and it's only going to take one bullet to do it. It's only going to take the graze of an impact nade or a nitro, and he's going to find himself down and out next time around. So Benja gets himself into the main stairs and kitchen corridor. He's going to start opening up those vertical angles, take out the default cam, all the usual stuff that we would expect from the attackers here. 1 minute 30 to go. Beautiful nitro from Leakifac, and Renshiro finds one along the way, and what a response from BDS with a flawless round.
Nice easy shot as well. I really thought we were going to see a double C4 coming through there, but not quite. Another really interesting round where Heroic have kind of gone for 2 or 3 different things at the same time. The early push on towards Shaiko, for example, who got a kill for himself. That was not so much a rush, but a very fast bit of play. Then the rest of the team are playing much slower around the bar area. They're walking into cap cans. The reason why you don't see BDS go, oh, it's basically 5 versus 2. We should go and get the kills here. You don't know what angles are being held. You can guarantee as soon as a Heroic player goes down to those cap cans, guns are up. They're holding angles. They're waiting for a push to come through. They want to make sure that BDS can't step up and find themselves a couple of easy kills. The way it was played out was quite sensible. Still, BDS hold firm. They really lock down inside that basement and give nothing away to Heroic. Now, Tim, we get to see that side we spoke about just a moment ago, with again a little bit of variation here in terms of how it's played. That castle, normally quite commonplace coming in for it. The bandit, I'll definitely say, is quite a new one, and some teams employ the maestro for the visibility it gives, and truthfully, we've seen teams play this kind of starvation style comp where you're trying to burn through as much utility as you can so those evil eyes can't be destroyed. So keep a close eye on them, see how many are still alive when the plank comes down, because they could be the big difference maker in the closing 30 seconds.
Lems and Shaiko are going to be tasked with keeping hold of the top floor for as long as possible. We've got some verticals opened up there as well. Leakifak in support. There's going to be lots of confrontation over in construction, I would expect. And Shaiko once again has got himself into Shaiko's spot. He's going for it. He's had a quiet game so far, Des, and you can just see that he wants to put a bit of a spark into proceedings, and there's the spark.
He does it every single time. It was like when Aces, back when he was on Rogue, always used to swing out onto spawn with an SMG when the CC breach was opened up. This round, though, has gone like absolute thunder, and this is where I get a bit concerned from Heroic. Players are getting a little bit too keen, acting a little bit out of turn. You know how Shaiko plays inside construction. You know that he loves to swing onto that roof and try and find a player or two, yet you're exposing yourself in towards that with no ability to capitalize on it, to make a play, to get a trade, for example, and they're losing lives for no reason. I feel they started the game pretty strong, but the last couple of rounds, a little bit sloppy.
Neither team has any chill whatsoever here, and I am loving it. How many? Shaiko's out of the window! No, how many rounds have we seen? It's just madness. How many rounds have we seen these teams just dashing in, just getting aggressive, going at each other, and I am here for it. This could be back-to-back flawless rounds for BDS as Lems manages to cut down Grizzly. Shaiko just needs to keep himself safe here, keep himself alive so that they can have that double flawless. Doom's going to do everything he can to prevent it, and the one thing he's got on his side at the minute in the 1v5 is time, at least. He's got time, and he's got drones. There's 8 of them available, so there should be plenty of information for him here.
Well, you say that, Tim. 3 of them are only out in the field. 5 are still in the back pockets of the dead players, which again goes to show
I'm trying to be positive, Des.
You can be positive. Like, the one thing I was looking at in that as well, I was like, how did Shaiko not get that kill? June was completely occupied by the C4 that came out of Jim window, which meant Shaiko, it was a beautifully timed play. I'll give him that 100%, but he was basically free to find a kill on the step out there as well. But I don't think he saw June on the roof, or simply didn't look in the right place and whiffed away a freebie. Really should have collected that. Round should have been done, and now you're giving Doom a very, very slim opportunity to try and fight it back in for Heroic. But if BDS throw this one away, you can wipe out any comment I said about the last 2 rounds being a bit of a disaster for Heroic, because it would have been the biggest throw by BDS you can imagine.
Certainly would. He's got Shaiko on the hunt at the minute. I'm not sure Doom's aware that he's behind him, but it's going to be Lems that will ultimately find him from the kitchen, and that is going to put BDS back in the lead once again after that blip of round 2 and 3 that were lost in gym and bedroom. They certainly have found their footing on Clubhouse here once again. A good round from them. A lot of aggression brought early kills in the round. It just really felt like the last 2 rounds, round 4, round 5, have been a little bit of a sort of slap around the back of the head for Heroic, out saying, you know, you've got 2 rounds, but just remember who you're playing here on Clubhouse, can we please? I think BDS just trying to send a little bit of a message.
Okay, well, BDS have really warned into things. I know Heroic have kind of caught them a couple of times there in rounds 3 and 4. Sorry, rounds I'm losing count already. I'm not keeping track this time, Tim. But
moving too quickly, Des.
A couple of
moving
rounds,
too quickly.
A couple of rounds, they've had BDS on the back foot, but otherwise it does feel like it's been a very commanding start for BDS, unsurprisingly, on one of their favourite maps. Now let's see how things shape up, though, on a gym and bedroom defence once again. Interesting change coming in this time, and I was hoping we might see it, was a Lems coming along on the mirror. They didn't do this previously, but what we have seen them do against G2, and equally G2 against them, bearing in mind this is about 18 months ago, was make use of these mirrors inside of construction. So they place it on the double wall, they look down in towards construction, and it basically becomes no man's land. You can't step in without getting control of logistics, but here what they've opted to do instead is go a little bit more aggressive, and instead use one on the bathroom wall, I think it is, and also one out towards the Cash CC extension. So a bit more aggressive from BDS, liking it.
Let's see if it manages to pay dividends for them. We're going to have the EMP thrown up there from the Thatcher. Something again, Thatcher, we're starting to see slip through those bans a little bit more. You know, there are occasions now where he makes it through, especially with the impact EMPs. I think a little bit of an indirect has been sort of making teams think, you know, maybe there's not always point in banning the Thatcher because they can just bring the impact EMPs, so maybe we're not actually gaining that much anymore. You know, Thatcher is still without a doubt the king of the electronics and able, you know, to remove them much more effectively than the impact EMPs, but still, we are seeing him available a little bit more, and it should speed things up for Heroic. That's what we should be seeing here. It shouldn't, you know, we shouldn't see any delays from them struggling to clear out utility, you know, losing exothermic Selmas, anything like that. It should be all fairly straightforward. We're going to have Brede going for the trick on the Selma. He's not likely to get it. He's going to find himself cut down quite easily with a nade from, I think it was below there. June managing to find his man, and that is a good start for Heroic on this site once again.
Absolutely good start. One of the main stairs here as well. Could find themselves another one. Yes, they do. 2 nade kills to start the round. Good stuff coming out of Heroic. Just softening BDS up, not looking to take gunfights, but making sure they can get these early kills that give them the advantage on site itself. That leaves Leakypat playing on the Smoker, Lems with the C4 in the back pocket, as well as Shaiko on the Frost, all holding down site here. So this again could prove to be one of the weaker points of the BDS half. In fact, every round they lose will have been on this site. Benja one more up main stairs. Only 2 remaining, Tim. It looks to be a 3-3 split.
So it does, and it will be, as Grizzly manages to find Shaiko just after he takes away the flawless round from Heroic, managing to get the only kill of the round for BDS. And you know, I look at it, Des, and I think they've been a little bit stubborn there. You know, they've got, you say, lost that 3 times. The only rounds they've lost have been on that site. I know they're going to be fairly confident coming into the attack, but, you know, was there an option there for them to maybe just throw in a little CCTV cache at the end and think, right, let's just try and mix it up. Let's not, you know, be overconfident on that site maybe. And now they find themselves with a 3-3 split. And we all came in here saying, what are Heroic doing? They must be crazy taking BDS to Clubhouse. But there's a real opportunity for them here.
There is. My only real concern is that BDS can also be incredible on the attack on this map too. For Heroic, we've really got to see them stick together here and play this one out sensibly, because they are one of the more aggressive teams that we have. If they're trying to overextend, look for those early gunfights, BDS could very well chew them apart. But time will tell, as you say. I think being at 3-3 going on the defensive half, far from the worst of all. Valkyrie coming in on side, something that we actually used to see Lems play an awful lot on this map as well. Didn't really see it back in the first half, but Doom fully going to make use of that extra information game that's brought along by having those black eyes on side.
We get into it. Action phase will be underway. We're going to see the main, or one of the main differences here for Heroic is the amount of players that are over in this garage side. You said that they're an aggressive team, Des. They're showing us that straight away with June getting right up in the faces of BDS. Really, this is about, for me, who blinks first. Doom's got aggressive. Heroic are out in garage. They're out in cash, CCTV. They're getting right out to that side of the map. They're trying to really front up BDS and not allow them in the map. Who blinks first? Who goes in and gets that kill? You know, who backs off? Who takes that backward step and loses a man? I think that's likely who we're going to see winning the round. If BDS go in and can pick up a couple of those aggressive players, they probably go on to secure site. If not, they might just not have the resources that they need to get it done.
I'd love to know to what level of prep, for example, Heroic have done with the start of that round, because Doom spinning from the garage door on towards the soft garage wall, almost paths straight into Shiko's default path. You know, you spawn, you run to a certain place, you do a certain thing. It's ingrained into players. They've all got tendencies and habits, and very nearly there, it felt like Heroic almost had a perfect read in the exact same way that Lems had a perfect read onto Mello, but at least in that case, a perfect read onto where Shiko was pathing. That would have been a wonderful start for Heroic, but one that does not materialize, and now they've lost their mirror.
And you've got to ask questions there. You've got the mirror to play behind on the reinforcement. You crouch down behind the soft wall. And I know he's trying to make a play. I know that he's trying to get something going. But ultimately, it was just far too easy for BDS to get that opener. And like I said, this round could come down to who blinks first. And unfortunately for Heroic, they have blinked first. And now BDS have that man advantage. 1 minute 15 left to go. They've got the jacuzzi wall open. They've sort of foregone CCTV a little bit. They've left Leakafak out there. But Leakafak's going to do the work, Des. He's going to cut down 2 of them. And that is the defense broken to pieces.
And now they're going to get swarmed by the looks of it as well. Grizzly narrowly missing a couple of shots there as Shiko down to blinking HP, about 5 HP left to his name, but he is very much locked inside a lodger here with nothing but a hope and a prayer on his side. BDS have control of the site. Leakafak into a triple. What a hero he has been, as there's one left. It's Doom coming up main stairs, and Shiko's going to find himself downed out, unsurprising, on 5 HP as Doom's cut off at the bottom of the stairs. What a clinical round by BDS, Tim.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful from them. You know, as I said, I thought it was all going to go in the direction of that first kill. It did indeed. It was a Lems onto Mello, and it fell apart really from there for Heroic, particularly Leakafak. How many times are we going to see him do this? You know, he's in the off position. He's the one on the backstab. He's the one that's just playing solo away from his team. The whole push is coming in from Jacuzzi, apart from that one man, and kiss, kiss, bang, bang, double kill, and the round is just opened up. It's finished off at that point. Now, Heroic, interestingly, just like BDS did, showing some confidence in their ability on this site. Now, it didn't pay off for the French team. Will it pay off any better for Heroic?
I do want to backtrack for a second and talk about Leakafak's critical play there as well, because Heroic, I think, had a really smart idea. They knew Renshiro was going to play on the south window balcony, and they wanted to be able to contest Renshiro off there so they could look to play a little more freely inside of sight. But instead, when Leakafak was out on that east balcony platform by himself, and I thought, man, he's going to get swung by 2 here. He's guaranteed to get traded. Not only is he actually on the platform rather than rappelling over the edge, which would have been safer, but he holds his position and gets both kills. Renshiro stays safe on the south windows. BDS are free to push in. Nowhere is safe for Heroic. I cannot stress how much that 2k that he got was the deal maker in that round. If he doesn't get those 2 kills, things can go very wrong very, very fast for BDS. But again, it just shows having those moments of individual brilliance, of which Leakafak is having many, set at 8 and 5, is just a show of how strong this team are and ultimately why they won the recent major.
Leakafak on the class this time around.
I mean, all for it.
Terrifying operator to have in his hands. Renshiro, he's going to get the opener onto Uno, and that's not the first time those 2 players have clashed at the beginning of the round, and Renshiro has come away the victor. Uno's actually had a very quiet game so far, 0 and 6 kills, but I'm not just talking in terms of kills. Obviously, it was mentioned before the game, he had that big 12k game to get Heroic qualified to the major.
Benja.
He's been playing fantastically well recently, but just struggling to get himself into the game here, and I wonder how much of an impact that's having on Heroic.
I thought then for a second really Benja was going to swing onto Leakafak as he went in for the second swing, but didn't expect the second one to come through, I think. But Leakafak removed that barbed wire on main stairs without any kind of punishment here. Mello once again going down on this mirror. You're asking questions at this point, Sim, because he needs to be the one that's safe in behind a mirror window making use of it, but twice now he's been caught out with barely so much as a whisper. Shiko also bringing down Benja, a 4 versus 2, and BDS are in exactly the same spot once again, where they have all the power, all the control, all the say as to how this round will end. A Lems on the long range angle, Doom left alone against 4. It's feeling like another BDS win.
Certainly is, and it's feeling a again like another round with a little bit of overconfidence on this gym and bedroom site. We saw BDS fall foul of it, and we've seen now Heroic fall foul of it. The diffuser was going down, but they couldn't even find the kill onto Renshiro. Stood on highway, manages to find his man inside of CCTV, and that is going to be the round for BDS. Gives them a 2-point margin now, 5-3, and they're starting to feel like they've just notched it up a gear, Des. They're really putting the foot to the floor here and starting to power through. Heroic are going to take the time out to try and slow things down, but I'm not sure that this break's big enough to prevent this one happening.
Terrifying, isn't it?
Sorry?
Benja's freeze frame is absolutely terrifying, isn't it?
It is.
I'm watching you. Right now, BDS are watching you. It's been one of those last 2 rounds. I said back at the very start of the half, you know, Heroic are one of our more aggressive teams. If you're going out there looking for these odd kills you might find, BDS aren't going to give it to you. They know this map like the back of their hand. They'll have the angles cut down. You're going to struggle to really achieve anything. And so far, that feels like what we've seen in those first 2 rounds is silly kills. Truthfully, Mellow twice being caught out on the mirror, not super ideal. You know, sit down and play behind the utility. You've got the mirror windows, you've got the C4s. There's lots to achieve there, yet you said you're trying to challenge onto the attackers with the longer range weaponry that are likely going to bring you down quite comfortably. So Heroic, I understand the timeout here. I think it is time to say, right, boys, calm down a bit now. Let's play as a team, look for those crossfires, make this difficult for BDS, and don't keep giving them absolute freebies, because so far they barely look challenged.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Heroic are going to have to find a challenge. That's the point. This one's starting to run away from them quickly. I'm glad to see them move site. They're going to head down to the basement this time, playing the mirror as well, just like BDS did on this bottom floor site. It's going to be Grizzly who's going to be bringing along that utility. Mellow on the Thorn, interesting pick. We don't see too much Thorn used at a pro level. Obviously, the gadgets can be very useful, particularly for plant and area denial, not really for entry denial, because the fuse on them is a little bit too long. So if you've got an Ash running past one, for example, it is not going to detonate by the time they're gone. The Razor Bloom, you know, is not going to be catching the heels of somebody like Ash. So it's more about playing him in the plant spots, more about playing him in the denial areas. But an interesting one. It's going to be used pretty much in dirt. So that's just an informational tool so that you don't have to worry too much about dirt.
Alrighty, let's see how things shape up then in round 9. It's kind of now or never for Heroic as well to get this map back on track. You've had those 45 seconds to have a conversation about what's been going wrong, what's got to change. Now we've got to see it in the round itself, and there are a couple of changes. We are seeing the mirror stick, but Mellow has had that duty ripped away from his grip and given instead over to Grizzly, who's going to play on it instead. We've got the Warden coming along for Benja as well, and to be fair, I have seen a lot of white screens throughout this game, so not too surprised to see that one either.
Liquifac's going to drop himself straight into logistics. He's got a drone ahead of him, just looking for that triple level play as he goes from top floor to bottom with the skeleton key, opening up the angles to see if he can catch anybody underneath the hatch. And look at this fantastic work from BDS. Just the drone at his feet there, nice and aggressive. You know, the distance between drone and player, that's what dictates how aggressive you're playing effectively. The further that distance is, the less aggressive that you're being. Obviously, with that comes risk. The closer you are to that drone, the less time you've got to sometimes react to information that's coming back from it. Now then, looks like we've got Kai just stood underneath the hatch there. Uno's going to be trying to trick this one. Stood up on the boxes. The reason that he does that is it means that it's less time for that claw to be deployed.
Great
it's not going to matter as the EMP is going to deal with it, deactivate it. Well played from BDS. Good basics.
Such patience as well, you know. It would have been easy for LM to just whack 4 of those Excaliburs down and just go, oh, well, they've tricked him off there for an need you over here, come now. No, they preempt it with the use of those EMPs to make sure they can keep on moving nice and fluid. They've got about 70 seconds to play here. They've got the hatches open that they need. This is feeling like a BDS execute of old, where they've got all 5 players alive. They're not really being challenged. They can do so much damage if you let them all execute at the same time. I'd love to see a top down when it comes to the execute, by the way. Oh my god. I'd love to see a top down when it comes to the execute, by the way, Observer, because BDS, I always used to love watching this execute because the way they all drop at the same time, 2 or 3 of them, is so impressive.
Certainly getting ready to pounce at this point. Liquefac it will be with the first pounce and the first find. It's going to be 5 versus 4 now as BDS soften up Doom as well. We can see him on very low health. Ranchiro onto Grizzly. Heroic, they just don't know which way to turn here, Des. They don't know where the pressure is going to come from next. Doom with a beautiful little angle up onto the kitchen hatch, but I don't think he's going to find his man. Takes a couple of nibbles there, but can't get into position. Benja does manage to find the kill though, but Breeder, he's going to get that diffuser down. It is secured. The plant is there, and Heroic now find themselves on a retake in a 2 versus 4. Mello, he gets one as he steps into short. He's going to dip himself back, just trying to use that machine pistol to level the playing field here, but no, cut down by Shaiko and Ranchiro, and BDS send themselves on to map point.
That wasn't like a grand drop all at the same time sort of vibe like the BDS of 18 to 24 months ago, but it was again so well calculated. And look at the difference. When they were on the defense, they played Turtle and we think, oh, teams can execute against that, but BDS make it so hard to do. Now you look at them on the attack, they've got 2 players coming down main stairs. You've got a Lems dropping in through Moto, Shaiko watching blue, one more watching the kitchen hatch. They've just got every angle considered, and it doesn't seem to matter where the defenders try to move. There's always another player ready to catch them when they go for that push forward. This is what makes BDS such a competent, top-level team. The team that, although for so long they struggled, did finally go on to win a major, is the consideration of moments like that. It's just beautiful to watch. It's like watching a game of chess where they've lined up the next 2 or 3 moves. They know exactly what you're going to do. Everything is considered, and even when they lose the player on hatch, even when they lose the player on pipes, it doesn't matter. There is still enough coverage to win the round out. It's beautiful to watch.
Let's see if we have some more beauty in this round from BDS then. They are absolutely flying at the minute. 3 rounds in a row, and they're going to look to make it 4. Secure Clubhouse, which... and I'm not wrong in saying this, I can forgive you for thinking otherwise, but this was Heroic's map pick. They decided to take BDS to Clubhouse to start things off, and right now I think they might be ruining that decision a little bit because it's not gone fantastically well, especially since BDS got themselves onto the attack. Look at this quick progress once again. Leakerfact straight down there, seeing an opportunity, a sniff of an opportunity to get himself into Dirt Tunnel quickly, gets it opened up, and then takes the challenge onto main stairs as well. But BDS are going to have a bit more of a full map presence to deal with as we've got Heroic players up on the top floor this time around.
It just feels as well that BDS are so used to the sort of nonsense that you get used to in the early round, right? Someone trying to peek at you on main stairs, oopsie daisy, you know, maybe you lose a player early on. Not BDS, because Leakerfact was just ready and waiting to pounce there as well. Again, you don't make yourself a top level team if you can't deal with the kind of early round ranked aggression that teams will no doubt be trying to pull on you from time to time, because BDS are one of those teams that if you do get to the late round, it's really hard to win against them. But if you can disrupt them early, yeah, fantastic, you've got a good shot. But they make even that really, really hard, which is why Heroic are struggling so much here today. He's going
obviously for a repeat. Not too much of a concern about the utility in sight from BDS, as they were happy for Lems to just keep driving that Twitch drone in. He didn't find anything that he wanted to take out, so we'll just try and get some information. And the information did its job as Lems manages to find Uno, who still remains on 0 kills at the minute. But they're not going to, and they might just rue that decision actually, as I was pointing it out. The Twitch drone not going in and taking utility out, instead being lost trying to gather information. They will lose a life to a Capcan trap. Doom manages to find Lems as well, and Heroic find themselves on the defense, I think for the first time, at a man advantage.
A couple of unwinnable situations there. They're taking a risk, right? They've tried to push 2 players in blind through dirt. They've had a Lem sat at the bottom of main, challenged from 2 angles. Not really the ideal spots for them to get themselves into, and Heroic are capitalising, which is what you want to see. They have crushed BDS on this push forwards, and sure, Leakerfact has managed to find himself 2 coming in, but there's always 1 more waiting when 3 are left standing. I don't want to chalk it up to being amazing plays strictly by Heroic, because for BDS there, it was a bit of a gamble, but Heroic showing, look, you can't pull these kind of tricks on us. You've got to play it more straight and narrow than that.
I think BDS is still going to remain reasonably confident here. They've got 2 more opportunities to close this one out and put the first map on the board. They're going to be this time attacking onto bar and stage, and I feel like that's a bold choice for Heroic. They've already struggled with gym and bedroom. You know, they're going to have to hold top floor in some way, shape or form, but by going to bar and stage, it actually stretches what they need to achieve here. Not only do they need to hold on to top floor, but they now need to hold on to the mid floor as well. They need to potentially have a challenge revenge in strip or in stock, depending which side BDS choose to push, but they need to be aware of that mid floor. Had they gone CCTV and cash, had they gone gym and bedroom again, at least you only have the one floor to worry about. But this time, they're going to go mid-floor. They're going to try to hold on to it. Melo on the Maestro, an operator that we often see on this site. He's likely to play in and around kitchen corridor, bottom of main stairs. He's going to try and hold the long angle onto main door with the Alder and just feed as much information into his team upstairs as he can.
BDS bringing out the Floridas here as well. Lem staging away from the Nomad. An operator that many patches ago now, I'm pretty sure he declared as the best in the game, the most powerful operator. One that very few teams actually employ these days. I think during the utility meta, it was far more powerful when there were ADSs, Banshees, shields scattered everywhere. I guess that was actually really post-utility meta, but still quite impactful. And this is where we now get to see him try and take out this Bulletproof that's sat very well positioned inside a bar on stage. We've seen this dance before 1,000,001 times, mind you, so they're going to have to be quite creative to get rid of that. There's a Banshee just inside the double doorway. There is lots to remove, but they can't just charge these drones in out of the gate.
Leakyfact manages to get himself inside a kitchen. This could be a really dangerous position here if they're not aware of it. Heroic do manage to find the opener. Zoom onto Ilem's nice headshot. Leakyfact takes his chance but misses it. He was in the perfect position and Zoom manages to shut it down. Heroic, they're going to need those heroic plays from individuals like Zoom. Benja manages to find Renshiro 5 versus 2 as Heroic once again in the ascendancy. Are we seeing a serious shift in momentum here, Des, as they managed to just push themselves through what looks like another successful round? Shaiko goes in, finds one. BDS maybe just needing that big hero play in return from Shaiko.
Shaiko revenge tour is on. That was a mean shot that he hit there at the very start. Zoom, though, and Benja, what a start to the round these two have had. There's a shield in front of him. There's a play off towards his right. It's a horrible crossfire. These are the things that I was speaking about that Heroic were kind of missing. They were giving away players for free, whereas here they've set themselves up. Christie goes down from the nade. I'm pretty sure they know about it as well, but they've still got to do the dance around this shield, and we all know it ain't too easy to predict exactly where a player is going to pop up from. Still looking to find his man, though, as we get towards these last 70 seconds.
Breeder sort of searching, seeking, can't find his man up on the top floor, takes out the Banshee. Effectively a 2 versus 3. It could have been a 2 versus 2, but Melo manages to cut down Shaiko, and it's all up to Breeder in a 1 versus 3. 50 seconds left to go, so he's certainly got time to do this, but he's going to need to start finding some kills, and it is not going to be easy. Pre-fire in every angle as he moves around. Not got a bad gun for it. We know that the Thermite is a handy operator sometimes, obviously usually thought of on the support, but very capable of picking up those frags as well. Breeder might just have to take an opportunity to drop in here because of the time, but the danger that he's got is there's still men above, and he knows that. I think he's got a good idea as to Zoom's location. Gonna look for himself to get the kill, manages to find it, 1v2, but 17 seconds left to go on one above. This is difficult for Breeder.
Planting on the stairs as well, something a little bit different for you, not quite in direct view, but in comes the drop, and Melo gets there first, finds Breeder out. This round I actually think was fairly balanced between the two teams, truthfully, Tim. I feel like BDS have lost it in equal measures that Heroic have won it. I mentioned back at the start, Zoom, Benja, fantastic early round, but BDS will look at those first 2 deaths, or well, second and third death. The first one, fair enough, won fair and square by Heroic. The second one, Leakyfact knew that he was inside a bar. He gets the first few shots off, but misses, and it's a fantastic reverse kill. The second one upstairs around Cash Breach, they saw with the Iana where the player was. They send the player in to try and capitalize on that information, and he dies. Shaiko then does get the cleanup, but by that point, you've lost 3 players. The round is basically already over. So really well done by Heroic to win those unfavorable situation fights, but it's on BDS really for having 2 advantageous situations where they should win the gunfights and just not winning them out. But like anything, Siege is an FPS, it's a strategy game mixed into one. Sometimes you just won't hit your shots and you will lose rounds just like that.
Can Heroic hold on them? They've done a fantastic job so far of clinging to the coattails of BDS and not letting this one get away. I'll be honest, at 6-3, I thought it was done. I thought BDS were going to be securing map 1, even at 6-4. But now I'm starting to ask those questions, but it all comes down to this, Des. We've seen this site lost so many times by the defenders so far this evening that it is not going to be an easy one for Heroic to close down BDS. BDS absolutely ran roughshod over them last time out, and they're going to be looking for more of the same, but their confidence will certainly have taken a dent in the last couple of rounds. Look at this, a lot of caution being applied by BDS. They don't want to be suffering that heroic aggression.
They don't want this going through to overtime. No way. Heroic have got their third mirror player of the game, by the way. Now it's June taking up those responsibilities, so they seem pretty dead set on keeping it away from Melo, given how the first 2 rounds went. Understandable. Now let's see how things shape up, because for BDS, as you commented, this is do or die. They're in a spot where they've got themselves through to round 12. They've let Heroic back in. They've left the front door open. It's nice and chilly inside now, and overtime would spell disaster.
Ranchero getting himself into Catwalk, opening up that side of the map again. BDS dealing with this very quickly. Ranchero just on the reflex peak, but he will hit the alibi prisma, which gives a little bit of information. How does Uno lose that? Leakifact just walks in and gets a double, and that is exactly what was missing last round, Des. You picked up on it. BDS sort of lost the round by not picking up those opportunities, but this time, Leakifact, he doesn't need asking twice, but what a shot! What a shot from Doom across the map!
He knows that the Vector's meant to have recall, right? Shaiko stepping into one more, finds Grizzly. A 4v2 ensues with still 90 seconds to play on the clock. It's a lot of time for BDS. There's one on main stairs. It's Doom playing on the mirror. The third challenger playing this operator, but no! Doesn't know about the one player left deep. It's another 3k for Leakifact in this game as Melo is left standing against the ball. Jumps out for one, but straight into a Claymore. BDS will take that first map by a hair, though, at 7-5, and who knows what Skyscraper will hold.
It was a close one in the end, closer than I think it honestly should have been, Des, but as you say, BDS, one way or another, managed to get it over the line. They get the job done, and it is a great start for them, especially heading into their map choice next of all. Heroic, what a performance. It was a real fight at the end. You know, in the middle of that game, you just thought that it had slipped away from them and that you were really questioning that map choice effectively. You know, why are we even here? But BDS, they didn't make it as easy as it could have been, and Heroic certainly made it difficult for them.
No, BDS started slow and ended slow, I thought there. In the start of the game, weren't quite with it, then really warmed up into their defences, and those last couple there, we spoke about it. Gunfights being lost there that arguably they should have won given the information or advantage they had, but just couldn't quite close it out. But that last round, once again, it's Leakifact walking away the multi-kill. It's not saying that previously they didn't have this power when Leakifact wasn't on side. We've seen what Shaiko can do. But knowing that you've got another player that can step up, playing a Thatcher of all things, playing a flex operator, not an entry, and still getting the opening 2 kills for the team whilst keeping your life. Wonderful stuff. And with play like that, I'd be surprised if they can't take Skyscraper as well. We'll head to a quick break. When we come back, the desk